Galen, I want to explore what the implications and consequences are of consciousness for a fundamental ontology of existence. Your new book, Stuff, Quality, Structure, the Whole Go, is a remarkable exploration of and a very unique approach to ontology. So help me understand what your view is and how consciousness is involved.
Well, I think perhaps the best thing to say is that it follows from the views I hold. The view I hold explains why people find it so hard to get things right about consciousness. These are not easy matters. So I might as well just state them boldly, and then people could say, "What, that's absurd," or something like that. So the first view is that we have already gone deeply wrong in metaphysics or ontology if we think that there is an absolutely fundamental line between objects on the one hand and their qualities or properties on the other hand. My position is that in the end, an object is nothing more than the totality of its qualities. But this is in one form a familiar view. It's called the bundle theory of objects. The object is just a bundle of qualities. But the trouble with that is that sounds very problematic. And the difficulty is partly a difficulty of words again, because the word property sort of stands in opposition or apposition to the word object in such a way, they kind of mutually involve each other in such a way that when I say an object is nothing over and above its properties, it sounds like nonsense. So I think it's a difficult view to get hold of. And I think that it's one of the blockers that come into play when people try to understand panpsychism. Because they think, for example, well, consciousness is just a property. It's a property of something else, an object that has this property. And I want to say, the next thing I want to say is that experience is a stuff. It's not just a property of something that is a stuff, and it's sort of diaphanous and floaty because it's only a property. It itself is a stuff. And in fact, it's a quantity. So I could say to you, there is more consciousness, human consciousness, right here in Rome right now than there is in Antarctica. That's a straightforward quantitative true statement. So this is one way in which you're managing to get consciousness to be there as a kind of stuff that could constitute the world. But it is a very difficult idea to get hold of.
And you use the word stuff,
yes,
which is a more abstract term than substance.
Yes.
In other words, you're being more inclusive by not using normal terms.
I'm trying to, but of course, in a way, the word stuff is very stuffy. I mean, very sort of solid, and so I have to carefully say that when I use the word stuff, I mean something that includes. It's just a completely general term for everything to exist: objects, properties, processes, events, everything. Everything. It's just the real, the concrete that is concretely out there and is real, with no implications about
dimensionality or anything.
Do you know how many solar neutrinos are passing through your brain right now, every second? Do you know that?
Trillions.
800 billion solar neutrinos are passing through the brains of everyone right now. So, soggy grey matter, that's a bad picture. I mean, matter is inconceivably, shimmeringly insubstantial. This is a good point in general for the physicalist. Stop thinking of it as this lumpen stuff. It's shimmering nothingness, as it were, energetic.
So in your approach to ontology, you start with the terms we're familiar with, objects and properties, and start combining them almost as fundamental physics does with the forces. So ultimately you get to just one thing.
Yes. In the end, there's just stuff. the object-property distinction completely natural and actually indispensable in everyday life. You know, my shoes are black. This chair has 4 legs. This is all true.
Yeah.
It's not none of that attribution of properties to things is undermined in any way in everyday life. It's just that you cannot carry that picture into fundamental ontology or even in. I mean, really, I think that this view coheres very well with any intuitive picture of the nature of reality that we get from physics. And some physicists will say, we don't get any picture, it's just completely incomprehensible. But this general
radical
issue...
empiricists.
Yeah, what?
Radical empiricists would say
yes,
that.
But it's just process. It's this...
relations, yeah.
Yes, and so I think that it's actually supported by the trend of physics. This very non-divisive picture of just this on-flow of process.
Yeah, and so I want to bring 2 things together. One is your approach to fundamental ontology, which is getting one kind of stuff, and it's not not distinguishing object and property, among other things. And the other is consciousness sitting at a fundamental level. How do they come together?
I think that they're independent. I think that...
But they have to articulate.
You could hold all the views I hold about fundamental ontology and the superficiality of the object-property distinction without being committed to panpsychism.
Oh, I agree. I totally agree with that. I understand that. But since you are both, and this is the each one is dealing at the most fundamental level, looked at maybe from different perspectives.
Yes.
That they have to articulate.
Yes, well, I hope that they do, in the sense that having got rid of the clumpy object with the properties picture, when we've just got this qualitative process, that makes it easier to think that the fundamental nature of everything is conscious flow. Whereas before we thought, oh, we better have an object that can be conscious and have that state. So yes, they go. That's how I would. Well, you say articulate. I suppose integrate them. Yeah.